I'm eating stuff. I'm eating things. Hey there, Shadows of Brimstone fans. Aaron Lovejoy here from Miniature Monthly, and we need to talk about something serious. Something so devastating. You're not going to believe it. 1 out of every 4 Brimstone miniatures is unprimed as of today, and we need to change that. I mean, how are you going to get your paint to stick to the models? You need to prime them, and I'm going to show you how. Let's do this. Bam! So you got your miniatures put together, and sitting on top of this here dollhouse. Don't judge. Don't judge. Anyways, you got your miniatures put together. They're ready to go. And you're like, what am I supposed to do? Do you just put paint on them? I don't know. Well, you got to prime these things because you need something for the paint to stick onto. So I've got a couple different primers here to choose from. Now, you'll find that in your area, different kinds of primer work better or worse for you. I find that this Rust-Oleum 2X primer works great on plastic miniatures. I like priming black, but maybe you want to prime white. I've also got some of this Krylon, which works well as well. Now, if you're doing resin miniatures, which I know Shadows of Brimstone has a bunch of resin miniatures, it is better to use this Duplicolor sandable primer. It works really good. It has a tendency to grip into the resin and hold on for dear life. And you know, sometimes that resin has problems, with the paint sticking. So use this Duplicolor primer on your resin figures. Use the 2X or try out the Rust-Oleum 2X primer on your regular figures. Alright, so we got our primer. We're going to shake these things up for about 5 minutes, and then we're going to prime our miniatures. And shake all ways. Helps to turn your primer around so that all the sediment runs back down. If it's been sitting like this for a while, all your paint's going to be on the bottom. So turn it around, roll it. There's a little ball bearing in there, and that will help it get all mixed up. You want to do this for at least 2 minutes. Now, not only is the Shadows of Brimstone box great for holding your miniatures in, but it also works as a good priming box. You don't want to get primer all over your trash can. Since I prime on top of my trash can, I'll just put a box there, and now I can put my miniatures on it. So the way I put my miniatures down, I'm going to start with putting their faces down towards the box. The reason for this is, when I flip these over, the box is still a little bit tacky with the paint, and what will happen is sometimes that peels some of the primer off the back side. I'd rather the primer peel off the back side than the front side, so I start with the front side down. That's the only reason. You can do it however you want. I'll make 2 rows of 4, and we're ready to prime. Okay, so you've shaken up your primer really well. I'm going with the 2X today because Painter's Touch 2X rocks here in Georgia, also rocks in San Diego. But first things first, sometimes when you're spraying your primer, the spray comes out pretty forcefully, and it can actually knock your models around. So what I've done here is I'm putting some blue tape, some painter's tape. You can use any tape you want. I use packaging tape sometimes too. But you put it down upside down. So we've got sticky side up. I'm going to fight that a little bit, trying to get that tape down without sticking to my finger. And then I use another piece of tape here and tape the ends down. So I'm going to tape either end down. And I've made myself 2 rows here so I don't just pile the miniatures on top of each other. I'm going to put these down. I'm going to make sure that some part of the model touches the tape. And this is basically, I'm priming all of the core set heroes. So I'm all done at once. Alright, shake my primer a little bit more. I'm going to do a test spray. Bam! Up in the air, just like that. Bam! Just to kind of get the juices flowing on that. And now, the important part here is, so you don't want to prime when it's too hot. You don't want to prime when it's too cold. You don't want to prime when it's too windy. You just want it to be like a blah day. So maybe if you have those conditions, either, do it in your garage, which I'm sure your wife or husband or boyfriend or girlfriend or parents would hate you for, but do it in your garage. Keep the door open, well ventilation. But otherwise, just wait for a day that it's kind of nice outside. That's the best day to prime with an aerosol can. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to come in here about 6 inches away. You don't want to be too far away, because if you're back like this, the spray has a tendency to dry before it actually hits your model. And what it will do is it will create this fuzzy feeling on your models, and it ruins your models. You're going to have to clean them off with some isopropyl alcohol or simple green or something. Total mess. So bring it in a little closer. You want your models to be wet, but you don't want to be too close to where it's just spraying all over the place. So I'm going to be using spray patterns like this. I'm going to be going boom, 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 kind of like a pendulum action. So it's going across. I'm always going off the models. And I'm just going to start spraying down the spray. Just like that. 2 or 3 hits. Go to the side. And I work my way all the way around the figure. So like that. Boom, boom, boom. What I like about the 2X is it covers very quickly. The Duplicolor Sandable Primer, it will take way more hits to actually turn it black. It just slowly builds up to black. So I like this because I can go fast. I'm super impatient, and that's all. All right, put your lid back on. Take a breather. Take about 15-20 minutes. Let this primer dry really well, and we're going to prime the other side. All right, one more thing to think about. If it's kind of hot outside, don't leave your models sitting out in the sun. They will literally melt. And plastic, once it melts, it's ruined. So what you're going to want to do is pick up your models very carefully and carry them into a safe, closed place like your garage. Ta-da! Now your models are safe. They're drying, and they'll be ready in about 15 minutes to put the second coat on. All right, so once my models have dried, I've flipped them over, and we'll spray the other side. All the way around, I just want to get every nook and cranny of this model black. Because if I don't get it, I'm going to have to come back in with my paintbrush and do it again. So just kind of get it all in there. Give it a once over. I think I'm good. Now we wait another 20 minutes for this to dry. All right, now we've got it. Our primer is dry to the touch. And I'm going to set all these models up like this. And basically, over the years, I've noticed that if you don't spray from above, there's little cracks and crevices on top that don't get paint. And so you might be thinking, wow, this is a little overboard for priming these miniatures. But I found that it's much easier. If you get all the black on, it's completely black everywhere. Take a little bit of extra time. Oh my gosh, it saves you so much time when you actually start painting, because the parts that you missed, you're going to have to color in. And that's always a bummer when you're almost done with the model and you're like, oh, look, this one section is not primed all the way. And you got to put some primer on it. So I get these models like this, and now I just spray from above. So something like that. And on this, you don't necessarily have to go all the way around. I usually do the back, and then I do the front, or the front and then the back. It doesn't matter the order. Who cares? And there you have it. You're done with your black primer. All right, so once we've got our black primer down, it is dry. I'm going to use some of this Krylon CoverMax Ultimate Coverage. I don't know if it's any better than other primers, but it is a white primer. I'm going to do a little test spray here, like that. And I'm going to do what's called a Zenithal Prime. Now, you might just prefer your models just straight black and start painting on top of them. This is a personal choice and preference. But if you want to do what's called a Zenithal Prime, so basically we're adding some light from above so we can kind of see where our highlights, midtones, and shadows should be. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to take this, and I'm going to spray just from the top. Now, I don't want to spray too hard. I don't want to spray like this. That would be super, super bad. That's not good. You want to spray real lightly like that. So I'm going to just do a dusting from above. Just like that. Kind of come over to the side. Now you don't want to do too much because they'll just end up completely white. So just kind of dusting it like that. 1, 2. Notice I kind of kept it a little bit brighter up on top, a little bit less on the bottom. That's pretty good. And spray a little bit from the side here. Maybe one more spray from the front because it's not quite bright enough for my taste. So just going to go like that. All right, now you've got a zenithally primed model and you're ready to go. All right, the priming video is over and you're ready to paint your miniatures. One quick thing though, if I told you in the video to put your minis in your garage after you'd primed them, just make sure you don't close the garage door because those things are going to be stinky. We don't want your water heater blowing up in your garage. So just be careful. Keep that garage well ventilated when your minis are in there sort of drying off. Let them sort of fumigate. Let them air out. Don't put them in your house because, man, that's going to be stinky. One other thing, make sure to give your primer 24 hours to cure. Primer always needs some cure time and it may be dry to the touch, but if you start painting on it right away, you have a tendency to rub off that primer before it has a chance to really grip to the mini. So give it 24 hours, think a little bit ahead, and you should be good to go. All right, until next time, why don't you go paint something? Your heroes are done. Go paint those. Do it.